Let's give a warm welcome to Shyla Raghav from Time Magazine and Annie Horn from the NBA. Welcome, my friends. Have you been having a busy climate week so far? Shyla, have you even had time to sleep?
No, but I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, we're happy to have you here. You might need to turn it on at the bottom.
Is this working?
Yeah, wonderful. So Shyla's probably back to back this week. But Annie, how's your climate week been going?
Off to a good start. I don't think as busy as Shyla's either, but we're keeping busy for sure. We've got a Columbia sport event tonight, meeting with Green Sports Alliance tomorrow, Nike climate event tomorrow night. So
Nice.
definitely keeping busy.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Well, let's get the conversation started. So the NBA and Time Magazine are all really, really valuable, incredible platforms. And I do want to have a shout out to Martina from the United Nations, who was really wanting to be here today, but she was pulled into an event with Brazil. No, we love Brazil. So she sends her regards, and she's not able to be here today. But these two incredible platforms, the NBA and Time Magazine, you reach such a big audience, you reach a different type of audience. So can you tell us about your audience, where you see your platform having the most impact on disseminating information on climate and sustainability? We'll start with Shyla.
Yeah, sure. So when it comes to our platform, I mean, Time Magazine's a media company, so really we're all about storytelling and engaging our audience. And traditionally, we're one of the few publications that still has a print magazine. So we have about 1 million in circulation, but really the lion's share of our audience is digital and on social media. So if you add all of our platforms up, it's about 120 million globally. And our audience is getting younger, and it's the way that I would say our biggest demographics are kind of older men and younger women. So it's like fathers and daughters. Those are kind of the key demographics. But I would say that, legacy media, we're of course evaluating our role as communicators, especially I think we're in a moment where it's a crisis of trust, where what do you believe? Who are the right messengers? Who can you trust when it comes to information and science and the delivery of that content and information? And so for us, it's really about recognizing the important role of journalism and the important role of well-researched content. And more importantly than raising awareness, I think my role really focuses on how we use our platform to not just communicate what's happening to the planet, but more importantly, inspire people to do something about it. So how do we reach that conversion point from understanding to then engagement and activation? So for us, it's really about solutions journalism, telling stories that are human, celebrating leaders and leadership. And so that's a lot of our kind of more recent programs have focused on that kind of content. We have a Climate 100 list, we host a lot of events, and so it's really about cultural influence as well.
Yeah. I had no idea that it was fathers and daughters. That was the big audience for Time Magazine. You said this term, crisis of trust. It's never really been framed that way. I feel like we hear things like fake news a lot, but crisis of trust is a really interesting way to frame it. And the communication and inspire piece is also really key because, yeah, you got to share the information, but you need to inspire the action. So a very valuable audience. And yeah, I look forward to seeing some of the content that comes out. Annie, over to you.
Yeah, definitely a lot of synergies in terms of what Shyla shared. First, the NBA's audience is massive. About 1 in 8 people in the world are fans of the NBA, so a little over a billion. 1 in 3 Americans are fans. Our demographic leans younger, multicultural, global, fairly even split in terms of gender, slightly more male fans. And I think in terms of, our unique ability to disseminate information on climate and sustainability, a lot aligns with what you shared, Shyla, just in terms of being the trusted messenger. We're unique in that we have these incredible voices from our players who people listen to more than their parents, government officials, anyone, more or less. And so Those authentic voices are really important for us to identify and to lean in on to help inspire our fans. So the player voices is one. Obviously, we are lucky in that we have a huge ability to share out information via our broadcast channels, our digital, our social. Our social media following is more than the three other US major leagues combined. So we have a really unique ability to reach fans on social media as well. And then there's the cultural influence part. So people follow the NBA and follow us from a cultural standpoint, what players are wearing, what they're doing in the community, what shoes. And so, I think we have that unique ability to help bring this conversation into the forefront. We know 4 in 5 NBA fans deeply care about this issue, but we also know that 65% of Americans aren't talking about this at home with their friends and family. So how can we help inspire folks to talk about this, to act on it? And then we, of course, have our games and live events and these in-person touch points with fans that are great vehicles for educating, engaging, and driving awareness.
Wow. So many stats that I'm learning. 1 in 8 individuals are NBA fans. That's pretty incredible. And I'm also really excited for the new audience that you're going to be reaching via leagues like the WNBA. Yeah, pretty excited about that.
Yes, I mean, there's definitely overlap in the two, fan bases. They are, unique and distinct at the same time, and a lot more happening in the WNBA side. We're actually in the middle of the playoffs, if anyone is watching, but I've got some sustainability anecdotes coming shortly. So.
Ooh, all right. So on that note, can you share some recent initiatives on climate and sustainability from your organization? And Annie, I believe we're going to be starting with you. We've got some visuals on the slide there.
Yes, so this first one is a program that we launched this past season through our NBA Launchpad program, which is run by our new business ventures team. It's essentially the league's incubator. So working to identify smaller stage companies that align with the NBA's business and basketball priorities. And what was really exciting was that this was the first time that we had sustainability as a track within NBA Launchpad. And Trashy was our winner for the sustainability track. Has anyone used Trashy in the room? Anyone? A few people?
Wow.
They're great.
Nice.
So their product is what they call a take back bag. They are a recycling and rewards platform. They make recycling textile waste in a responsible manner, very turnkey and easy. And so we ran a pilot program with them where we shared the take back bags with our fans, with employees, at our events, et cetera. We had QR codes on broadcast, in arena, and through this program, we were able to reach and engage more than 4,000 fans, save 1.2 million gallons of water, divert 117,000 tons of metric tons of CO2. And there was one other stat that I'm blanking on. But what's exciting is that they're able to track the impact on the back end through the bags. And so we're really proud of that partnership and program, and something that we're continuing to build on with this upcoming season, looking at how we can also leverage their operations for some of our back of house needs. So think, T-shirts and hats of the losing team in the NBA Finals or the WNBA Finals. What are more efficient ways that we can have those textiles recycled and actually track the impact of it? So Trashy's helping us with that. And then the second one is just our WNBA All-Star efforts have continued to grow over the last few years, with a huge shout out, and that was actually the broadcast QR code that we had run during Earth Month, which very nice for us, happens to be during NBA playoffs, so we got some good coverage that way. That actually went up while LeBron was shooting a free throw, and our partner Trashy asked, like, can we have that happen again? And it's just like, that's not something we can replicate. That was just lucky. And then, WNBA All-Star, the Pacers Sport and Entertainment hosted this year, so the Indiana Fever. And for the first time at a WNBA All-Star event, we had reusable cups in arena, which we were really proud of, which helped us save 17,000 single-use plastics. Our events were all powered by renewable energy for the second year in a row. We had a 100-person volunteer team helping sort compost out front for volunteers. And a lot of that was driven by the Indiana Fever and last year by the Phoenix Mercury, who are both happen to be in the WNBA semifinals right now. So tune in tonight. And yeah, very, very proud of just the work that our teams and arenas are leading to help bring this into the forefront more.
I mean, the NBA is such an incredible platform. Like, obviously, we all know that. And for a startup like Trashy to have access to the fan base, like, that's very, very impactful. Shyla, tell us a little bit about the initiatives from Time.
Yeah, so we have, I think everyone may know Time has Person of the Year, Time 100, these kind of global moments where we celebrate and honor leaders and leadership. And I think a big part of what we've recognized in climate is that if you can see it, you can be it. And a lot of people, I think, are losing sense of agency. They're losing their own power in the sense of how they can contribute to being climate leaders in their own right. And so we thought that it would be really important for us to use our platform and to use Time's our ability to shine a spotlight on leaders and to make leaders of people, to recognize their leadership is such an incredible catalyst for impact as well, and for really helping to platform people that normally don't have access to either funders or just kind of traditional global media. So 2 years ago, we launched the Time 100 Climate List, and it's a pretty extensive editorial process of vetting leaders from all around the world. And we wanted to celebrate people who are changing either their own companies from within, are innovating and bringing new solutions forward, or are representing courage. And I think there's no more important principle right now than courage, because we know that we're seeing a lot of rollbacks, and we're seeing a lot of leaders that traditionally have championed or supported climate initiatives are retreating from those commitments. And so we're making it a point to really showcase the work and celebrate the work of the people that are staying the course, that are doubling down, and that are staying true to their values. So this list comes out every year. We're working on our third version of it. It's coming out in November. And just a few anecdotes when our list come out. A number of people will often refer to us and tell us about how it's changed their career, their trajectory of their lives, and especially women, I would say. I've had a couple chief sustainability officers who've said that the CEO didn't even know the work I did. I got the first call ever from the CEO of my company after I made this list. So that's one example. Another one, the company was threatening to, or on the verge of cutting down its climate commitments, and this woman used her position as a Time 100 climate leader as leverage to force and hold accountable the leaders and her peers within her company. So I know that sometimes even I question, what is the impact of media, what is the impact of storytelling, but these are real, and to be able to give credibility and to give visibility to these people and their leadership can be incredibly profound at the micro scale, but also at the macro level.
I love those anecdotes. I'm wondering if we can add a 0 behind the Time 100 list. Time 1000, we can just scale that impact. I'm just kidding.
Or a sports category.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
actually, I think we've had musicians. We haven't had athletes yet.
There we go.
There, you heard it here first. So to wrap up our conversation, I'm sure in the room here, people are curious. It is trying times, and that is putting it lightly. How are you navigating and adapting to the current narrative? Maybe Annie, we'll start with you.
I get the hard one first. No, I mean, it's definitely challenging times. However, I will say this is work that has never been easy. NBA Green, our fan-facing platform, started in 2007, so we've been at this for a while, and it's had its fits and starts. But we remain committed to the work. We have, the buy-in and support from our leadership, from our teams, from our arenas, and I don't think we have that buy-in just because it's a nice thing to do or the right thing to do. We have that buy-in and support because we continuously prove that this is something that is relevant to the business and drives business value. And so those are the kind of things that give me hope just for our trajectory as we remain committed to, the work, our partners, the pledges that we've made. Definitely a lot more to do, but staying at it and trying to stay positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, from my perspective, I think that it's been really challenging because I alluded to this earlier that we're seeing this phenomenon of green hushing, where a lot of companies previously were celebrating their work on sustainability and climate and talking about it publicly, but there's been a little bit of a silencing where I think a lot of companies are censoring or just not talking about it because they're fearful of the backlash or fearful of being associated with something that might not be perceived popular politically in particular. So I think it's forced us to also reckon with how do we communicate about climate. And I think too often in the climate community we've assumed that science and fact will lead to action, right? So all of our climate communications is this is how much plastic is being produced, or the emissions are going up, and we assume that people are going to internalize that fact, and naturally, well, we have to reduce emissions, and therefore I'm going to stop doing X, Y, and Z. Well, that's just simply not happening. And when we think about behavior change, when we think about what motivates people, it's quite simple. It's jobs, it's of their families, and ultimately it's their financial stability. So as we look at that reality in terms of what motivates people, and we look at companies also not wanting to lean in on climate-focused messaging, a big part of what we're exploring and increasingly doing is telling stories that really connect climate action and business value. So really focus on the fact that it's good business, that it's good for retaining employees, it's good for reputational risk, it's good for your supply chain, it's good for upcoming regulation. So focus on all of the benefits of climate action that are going to hit your bottom line rather than this is the right thing to do. And that's going to be a winning strategy that's going to persist even beyond this political cycle.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think that there's just going to be a lot of unknowns that creep up between now and, whenever the kind of 3 years coming is going to be, and we have to remain nimble, but having the right leadership, inspiring that action, I think is going to be really, really important. And I'm glad that we have the two of you doing the work that you do and leading your teams and helping us accelerate climate action. So with that, I want to say thank you to Shyla and Annie.
Thank you, Michelle.